The Walt Disney Company will be cracking down on password sharing across various households in March, but they've announced it today. And there's a strategic reason we believe why this is happening. We also, folks, are here to tell you that Disney missed the mark majorly on subscriber numbers they thought they would have from just 3 years ago until today. And all of that feeds into why now they're shaking you down for every dime you have, and we'll explain it right now.
Where's that money, you silly, stupid old fool? Where's that money?
Hello, folks. Welcome back to the Pro Channel. It is, as always, a joy that you have joined us. We consider it an honor and a pleasure to share time with you. Sharing time with us today as well, Lauren Connor of ThatParkPlace.com and LW Ghost, a phantom when it comes to presenting truth that the media fears. Welcome to you both, gentlemen.
Thank you. Just so I don't have to wear that purple suit from the Phantom. That would not be complimentary to my physique.
A bit cumbersome.
Yes.
Well, folks, we're going to get into why Disney is cracking down on passwords, and we've got some stuff here that you need to know. We'll show you. This out of The Hollywood Reporter. Hulu set to begin password sharing crackdown following Disney Plus by Alex Weprin. The Disney-owned streaming service changed its subscriber agreement to ban sharing of accounts outside of individual households. This was breaking a few days ago. We're getting to it now. We've got some very interesting information about why this is happening, and it all has to do with Disney scrambling to find money, but we're going to show you. Hulu is set to begin cracking down on password and account sharing following a similar move by Disney Plus. The Disney-owned streaming service on Wednesday sent an email to subscribers notifying them of an updated subscriber agreement, one that explicitly bars sharing accounts outside of the user's household. Unless otherwise permitted by your service tier, you may not share your subscription outside of your household, the change to the agreement stated. Household means the collection of devices associated with your primary personal residence that are used by the individuals who reside therein. The new agreement, and this is important, the new agreement dated January 25th, but says that the terms will become effective March 14th. Now, this is important for a few reasons. Let me walk everybody through how they're attempting to thread this needle. One, they do not want to have this happen, and they could have done all this. They could have cracked down on password sharing in December or November or whenever. They did not want a mass loss of subscribers going into this earnings report just before shareholders are going to be voting on the ballots about Nelson Peltz. So they couldn't do that. But they also need to have this in place just before the shareholders meeting in April, when people will be voting on Nelson Peltz, because they need to say, look, we've got a new way that we're going to drive up revenues, but they also don't want to have the full impact of the subscriber losses happening. Now, we're going to get into in just a minute. I beg of you folks, if there's anything that you don't want to miss, it's what we're going to talk about just next when it comes to why Disney is scrambling for money. But first, before we go to that, I want to go to the two gentlemen on the panel and ask both of you, in terms of losses for subscribers to Disney Plus, we've seen this happen with Netflix. For Netflix, they bounce back quickly. I'm not sure that is the case with Disney, because I'm not sure that Disney currently is in a tremendous growth period, and I'm not sure that they're offering a great value add to the lives of many out there. In fact, I think they're making people angry. So then to top that off with the password crackdown, I think could drive folks away. So I turn to you two to ask, do you believe that this will result in a negative reaction to Disney beyond what other streaming platforms have experienced?
Well, on the one hand, they can't get much worse on Disney Plus. On the other hand, a lot of people on Hulu who get this message are going to say, well, gee, before Disney was running it all themselves, they never did this to us. It's that evil mouse. I'm getting out of here. So I think the impact is going to be much bigger from an emotional point of view with the Hulu people who are used to the opposite and who have somebody to blame because they all have been following, I'm sure, the fact that Disney now owns it entirely.
Lauren, we're not advocating for piracy, but I suspect this may contribute in that direction. Your thoughts on it?
Well, if not piracy, I could see you start having people run things like common Plex servers. Like if you have cinephiles that are friends that may pool their resources to essentially digitize their own libraries and share them amongst friends. That gets you into a kind of a quasi gray area, but it wouldn't surprise me if you start seeing a lot more of that.
Right? We're not advocating. We're just speculating on how the market will react. Absolutely.
And apparently, VPNs are being detected by their new system too, and that's not a way to get around it. Or
they don't like VPNs. They really don't like VPNs,
right.
Mr. Ghost.
So, although it's interesting, there's one of the many, you put something in and you get 43 different questions people are asking on Google. What does code 92 mean on Disney Plus? Do you know? Here is what error code 92 means. Quote, due to a high number of requests, we have temporarily throttled traffic from your IP address. Please try again later.
Interesting.
First of all, it may be a common IT word, but it's not really nice to tell your customers you're about to throttle them. That's a bad choice of words, But it's like, we know you're breaking the rules. Shame on you. We shut you off for a few minutes to let you cool your attitude and think about it, Anyway, I saw that in hilarious. And what you said about piracy, supposedly already on X, there is a big conversation going on about, well, here comes piracy because enough is enough.
Well,
and interesting, somebody said they were going to cancel not just Hulu, but, quote, probably Netflix too. So, will there be a general reaction to this no sharing thing, which personally, if I were going to invent one of these services from scratch, that would be in the original deal from the get-go.
Yes, absolutely.
Why shouldn't it be?
They chased the subscribers at any cost, any way they could. Lauren?
We brought up behind the scenes before we started this video, too. You've got Amazon now implementing an additional $2.99 charge per month if you want to watch their videos without ads. And that's when you're already paying for the Prime service to start with. So it's really starting to feel like these companies are just picking up the customers by the legs and shaking them to try to get all their change out of their pockets. I think that's a great way to turn the customers off.
And on the other hand, their lesser competitors are going out of their way to bundle themselves with things you wouldn't normally expect. I've mentioned in the past on some of our conversations that I have Walmart Plus, and because of that, I get what is it? Not the other NBC besides Peacock. And now I just found out today that with Instacart you get free Peacock.
Wow.
So, some people figure out how to get themselves rolled in as a benefit, and other people want to stand alone and tell you you're being throttled. It's sort of a different attitude.
The funny thing about this is that everybody wanted to get away from cable because they wanted the a la carte services to be able to pick what they wanted. And now you have everybody jumped on the streaming bandwagon because they thought that was going to be the next big thing, and now they're just sort of reconstituting the cable services.
Well, that brings up an interesting question. What are they going to do with this new tier of ESPN? Is it going to have limits like this too?
Very interesting. And
at $35 a month or whatever it's going to be?
Nelson Peltz is wanting to bundle now ESPN with Netflix, which of course would require Netflix to agree, but it's quite the ploy he's come up with on that white paper he's going to be delivering. Disney probably is not too happy about that. But I want to show you guys. Lauren brought up this great point about how these streaming services now kind of have you upside down and shaking you, trying to find every dollar and dime that might be around your person. So why would that be? Well, folks, we don't want to hold you any longer on this big news when it comes to why Disney needs to crack down on the passwords. Let's go back in the way back machine here. Walt Disney Company Investor Day 2020. Let's see what they thought was going to happen. This back from December 10th. 2020, under the reign of Bob Chapek, at a time when the stock price for the Walt Disney Company was reaching all-time record highs, such that iger has never seen. The Walt Disney Company surpasses 137 million paid subscriptions across its direct-to-consumer services. So that's talking about Disney Plus and ESPN. Shattering previous guidance, increases paid subscriptions target to 300 to 350 million by 2024. Now remember, this is prior largely to the company getting into the massive divide in the world. Sure, Lucasfilm and Star Wars was on fire, but Disney Animation largely not. Marvel certainly not. And everything was hot, hot, hot with Disney. Bob Chapek in charge, getting ready to moderate the company, and they were targeting now 300 to 350 million paid subscriptions by 2024.
In other words, doubling in 4 years or 3 years.
And what really happened? Let's go to the latest that we have. This November 8th, 2023. So just about 2 months ago, Jennifer Mass reporting on this one. Disney Plus tops 150 million subscribers. Streaming loss narrows to $387 million. But what we want to look at is we can see down here in the second paragraph that Disney reported core Disney Plus subscriptions at 112.6 million subs. Okay, now we're going to ignore the India part, although we just reported on this yesterday where we talked about the $10 billion loss that Disney has taken in India. We'll leave that alone for now. If we go down here, though, Hulu, as of the end of 2023, was at 48.5 million subs, and ESPN Plus 26 million. You add all this together, okay, 48, 26, and 112. Disney is struggling to get to 200 million. Even if we say that this is, that whatever the core is, let's add some more from somewhere, scrounge around and find some more subscribers. Disney is barely, if at all, breaking 200 million total direct-to-consumer service subscriptions. They were targeting 300 to 350 million.
Wait. It's worse than that.
Please.
You just mentioned ESPN, Hulu, and Disney Plus as if they're separate things. But what Disney we know wants to do is combine Hulu and Disney Plus into basically one thing.
There's overlap.
When you do that, the overlap goes away.
That's right. And so, Mr. Ghost, what I'm doing here is, if we are as friendly, and we do this so many times on the channel, and some folks love it, some people hate it, if we're as friendly and as positive, if we give the most optimistic view we possibly can for Disney, they are at minimum, missing by a third where they thought they would be. So I present this to you, gentlemen. If Disney were where Bob Chapek thought he could get the company before he was ousted for politics, then I don't think this company would have to be cracking down on passwords. I don't think they would have to be raising the subscription cost dramatically. I don't think they would have to be doing much of what they're doing, cutting thousands and thousands and thousands of jobs, and attempting to get their overall spend significantly down, even farther down than we had originally heard on content creation. All of this is because they have failed dramatically. And again, it's the same as the Disney World situation. This is due to a political agenda that has devastated this company. They have missed their target by at least a third and probably half of where they thought they should be.
Go back to that first headline where they announced the big bump. There's an interesting little content in there. It says surpasses shattering previous guidance. So when you give guidance, a company, that's a legal thing. You are saying, hey, this is what we think is going to happen. And if you make it, swell. If you don't, heaven help you. So this new prediction of 300 to 350 by Chapek is, here's our new guidance. We're going to go even further. Does that explain to anybody why the stock went so high under him? Because people were saying, hey, they're rolling and they're getting better. When they didn't, oops, maybe not, and all of that stock price goes away.
Now let's think about this. So they've missed it, right? They've already told us in the last earnings report that they are guiding that this quarter is going to be rough for streaming. They don't think it's going to be a good quarter for streaming. Okay. So what that means is we already know how much they've missed this by. They're going to have a bad quarter, probably. What they've got to do is they've got to tell everybody, oh, but we've got a plan to fix this. We're going to have more subscriptions because we're going to cut down on all of these households sharing accounts. But they have to put it out at the same time in a way that it does not put out a negative impact in time for the ballot voting. Everybody with me on how the game is being played here? Does everybody totally?
Yeah.
Warren, what do you think?
I think the only way this strategy works is if you've got content that people want to see, and I don't think that they've got it. Content is king here, and all you're going to do is upset the customers you've already got and encourage them to drop. Unless they had something really big that they were planning to drop on the service that you just couldn't miss, I don't see how this strategy works, other than for the papering over for the earnings call stuff that you said. So as a long-term strategy, this doesn't work at all. As a short-term strategy, it might limit some damage, but not for very long.
Okay, so let's think about that then. To both of you, and I'll go ahead and be fully transparent here. As I look at 2024, And folks out there may think, Pro is just negative Disney all the time. I don't think that's true at all. I think there's a huge catalog of content that I love. That said, for new content coming in 2024, I don't know of anything that I'm excited about new for Disney Plus. I can't name you a single show that I am excited to see. Do either of you have anything coming to Disney Plus this year that would cause you to want to be subscribed?
No. And the stuff they already tried, they're dumping into theaters and getting negative response on too.
Right.
It's like it's just amazing. And wasn't there something recently where they're going to cut 125 things off? I saw it somewhere, and I don't remember where.
Yeah, that was in the Middle East and Africa and a couple other regions, I think. I'm not sure that was affecting the North American market.
Okay. So, but even so, less
Which, if you're
stuff.
wondering, this is what I think Mr. Ghost is referring to out of Deadline, Nelly Andreeva. Disney Plus removes original movies and series in EMEA,
which stands for
Europe, Middle East, and
Africa. Right.
But again, I mean, it's not as if those places don't count towards the overall subscribers. And this is yet again disincentive to stay with the company, but it's part of the cost cutting. So they're in we've said it before, we'll say it again, a Mickey glove size Chinese finger trap, because they can't cut content and keep subscribers. And they can't keep spending what they have been spending. They don't seem to be able to make content in the way that Illuminations does with a small budget.
It's an endless series of good news, bad news, good news, bad news. First they say, well, the bad news is we lost all this money in India. The good news is those people weren't paying much a month anyway. But the good news is we're going to get more out of the people we've got in America, and the bad news is a lot of them are going to quit anyway. So they can't win for losing, as Lauren said, without compelling content.
Yeah, I think if they wanted to do something, what I'd be looking at right now, honestly, is the Fox content library, because they paid $76 billion for it, and they haven't done anything with it.
Exactly.
The problem with that is getting any kind of production up is going to take you 3 years. It doesn't help them in the short term, and what they have are seriously short-term issues.
Well, but we've seen all of these old TV shows do well on other things. I mean, Suits and all of that. There's a whole heck of a lot of really good Fox television from the 60s and the 70s, all of the Lost in Space and Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea and Combat. They could promote the heck out of that, and it's free, just like these other ones are free to everybody else.
All of that is true, but they cannot resist their own urge to label it as triggering content for one reason or another.
There you go.
They will shoot themselves in the foot every single time with this.
Right, they'll have to redub it as moderately concerning, Will Robinson. Moderately concerning, because danger is triggering, right?
It is financial deletion when they do that. It's amazing to me that
look
they are
at what Shatner's been talking about how in Europe they want to make Boldly Go Where No Man Has Gone Before into a trigger thing because it's a man.
Well, why is Robbie coded male?
Yeah, exactly. Well, maybe it's Roberta. We don't know.
Well, I think Rosie was already taken.
Guys, I want to issue a correction. I've been sitting here thinking, and I always want to be completely honest and truthful, and I've been sitting here thinking very hard, surely there has to be something that I would be looking forward to. And I will say that if King of the Hill, the revival of that show, comes out on Hulu, I know that's not Disney Plus, but I would be excited to watch that. And I have to say that I am tepidly and fearfully potentially excited to see X-Men 97. But I give that a 90% chance of just making me angry. But if it's as good as the original series,
but again,
I'll be so happy. But I give it a 90% chance of making me angry.
If they put aside the politics, remember when the Disney Channel started and they did that part called Vault Disney with all the old stuff?
I do, yes.
Well, what if you came up with a Fox version of that and you said Retro Fox every Thursday night on Disney Plus, and you ran all of these great series that came out of Fox in those days? People who've never seen them would say, "Oh, is that where that came from? Wow, that's kind of a cool submarine they've got there on Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea. Wow, if the History Channel can basically have survived all these years on Nazis, and oh, by the way, a few Egyptians, why can't Combat still be compelling content, with Vic Morrow and Rick Jason? And I mean, there's some good stuff in there, and it captivated American television audiences for decades, and it's sitting in a vault at Disney being ignored.
That's right. Collecting dust and not moving electrons into the eyeballs of viewers.
My joke was that if they couldn't do Guardians at Disney World for the Tower of Terror because of that deal, why the hell not turn it into the Nakatomi Plaza and retheme it to Die Hard?
Listen. Now, I am a huge fan of Tower of Terror, but I'll put a Die Hard ride right beside it. I promise you that in a heartbeat. I mean, that would be awesome.
Oh yeah,
guys.
They're just ignoring all this stuff, the stuff they could make money on, and instead they're playing around the fringes with, we'll throttle you if you don't obey the rules. Shame on you. One more Karen scold is something most people don't need.
I do have one question about the policy, though, because you said that it was IP based, and that error 92 message that you were talking about was about throughput. That wouldn't be governed by your IP address. So my question is...
It said too many requests. It didn't say too many... I don't know.
So the answer is...
I think the smarter way to go for them would actually be, because what I would be looking at if I was still a subscriber would be... If I'm going traveling, can I still watch Disney Plus on my iPad while I'm at my vacation?
Well, see, here's the thing.
I think the smarter way to go would be what Netflix does, which is that you have a tier that's based on the number of devices you want to stream from.
Well, this says
let me answer
it's
that
4
question.
devices per subscription. So the question is, if you're on your iPad and it's tied to your home address, it's probably okay. But if you want to plug it into the TV or just bring up Disney Plus on your hotel room or your B&B screen and plug your numbers in, they're going to say, no, thank you, you're in the wrong place.
That's my point, is that I think if you're geo-restricting it based on the IP address, that's a bad idea. But if you are creating a unique ID per instance of the device that you're using, that's a smarter play for Disney.
Right.
So to answer the question, Lauren, they're not telling us. So the official line we have right now is, we're actively exploring ways to address account sharing and the best options for paying subscribers to share their accounts with friends and family. We will roll out tactics to drive monetization sometime in 2024. I have heard, and I'm not sure if this is public in any articles out there, I have heard that you are going to receive a warning, but I don't think they have made public what the system is and how that might happen. I can read this to you and say, it says, we may, in our sole discretion, analyze the use of your account to determine compliance with this agreement. If we determine in our sole discretion that you have violated this agreement, we may limit or terminate access to the service and or take any other steps as permitted by this agreement. But
I can tell you, if I was on vacation with my iPad, using an account that I'm already paying for, and they cut off my access while I was on vacation, that's going to be an instantaneous cancellation for me.
Yeah, and
well, no doubt.
What if you actually have a vacation home up in the mountains or in Florida during the winter or whatever? Do you have to buy 2 accounts now for each one and not use them half the year or however many months you're not in one or the other? I see here where it says the Disney Plus standard plan is 2 devices. The premium plan is up to 4.
Well, it will be interesting to see how all this plays out. Netflix has done it somewhat successfully, but again, Netflix has content that people want to watch. And that's a major incentive versus where Disney is, where they're actually not only failing to give you new content, but their old content, they're insulting it. So very special. But I want to circle back and wrap this up with this point, because I know you both are going to be filming soon member-exclusive content, the genre guys.
How exciting.
That's right. I just want to say this. Folks, you have to step back and see this from the aerial view. You have to look at the meta narrative that is happening here. And the rest of the places really aren't talking about this. The reason that Disney, and the other services as well, but mainly in this situation, Disney, is stepping in and having these draconian password sharing, crippling kind of actions taken, is because Disney has missed somewhere between 33% and 50% where they said just 3 years ago they would be for subscriber levels. And that means that they are not driving the revenues that were necessary to keep these things going, such as they had anticipated. That is where we are. Bob Chapek thought he could achieve it. They got rid of him. Bob Iger's back. He can't. Jobs are cut. His salary increases. Your passwords are no longer valid if you're sharing them with others outside of your household. That's the world we live in. Gentlemen, final thoughts.
how much real impact will this have? How much research do they have to show what percentage of their current people are actually sharing? I bet it isn't much, because most people are not looking to game that with their 43 friends. They really aren't. I can see the neighborhood coming over to Joe's basement video room to watch the new movie before they cancel the membership, or all pitching in together on the one membership in order to do that. But I just wonder if they're underestimating the alienation and anger this is going to cause, as I said earlier, especially with the Hulu people, and overestimating how much revenue it might actually create when it's all said and done and the dust settles.
Lou, as you have said before, it's worse than that, because Disney is also switching to ad-based revenue for Disney Plus to a large extent. When you send these people away, and there's no guarantee that they're going to get a new account. In fact, I would say the vast majority probably are not. And Disney's overestimating the number of people who are going to buy an account once they're cut off. That's also damaging your ratings, Disney, and that's damaging your ad revenue, Disney. Be careful, Disney. Lauren, your thought.
Go ahead.
I think that people will accept something that they think is a fair deal, but they start getting really upset when you start taking things away if you're not giving them something of equal or greater value in return. And I think that's the real danger that they run here, is that you annoy your customers enough, they're not going to want to do business with you. So if you're going to do something like this that's going to potentially irritate your customers, you better give them something else in return to make them feel like they're not being abused.
Lou,
wouldn't you make more ad revenue if you said, hey, advertisers, our official numbers are this, but we've determined through our metrics and measuring of what's going on that we really have about 30% more people because some of these people are sharing the account. So we're going to charge you for the ads for that much.
That's a great point, Lou.
Wouldn't that make sense?
Lou, you know what else you could do that would be really easy? You could stop making divisive content. You could stop putting propaganda in children's content and go back to being a company that makes safe content that families can enjoy.
Or
and then you could reap the monetary rewards.
Go back to selling your content to Netflix and let them take the heat.
Either one.
By the way, Netflix has a certain amount of viewers who've been with them since they mailed little discs, and you couldn't share those. Oh, you could give it to your friend overnight before you send it back. But they're, in a way, habituated to doing this. Disney, not so much.
That's right. And that is the end of an era, too, because earlier this year, late last year, Netflix gave away the last of those little discs as it transitioned fully to digital. Folks,
I wonder
help
how much
us.
that cost the U.S. Post Office.
Folks, help us in our pursuit of all things digital. And click the like button, share, subscribe, and when you click it, you stick it to the algorithms. It's the notification bell. Drop a comment down below. Let us know your thoughts. And as we said before, Lauren Connor and Lou Wasserman's Ghost are both part of the Genre Guys member-exclusive content. A lot of channels would love to have videos with 2,000 views. The Genre Guys content has passed 2,000 views, and it's members only. People love it. If you're not yet a member, consider clicking the join button and checking out their conversations. It is fantastic stuff.
Well, thank you. Folks, that's what I'd call positively mad. Mad. Hint,
folks,
hint,
if you watched, yes, exactly. We'll leave it at hint. All right, folks, that's it for us. We hope you have a happy and wonderful Sunday if you're watching it on Sunday. And you know what? Heck, we'll throw in the rest of the days of the week as well. Wherever you are and whatever you're doing, keep learning, keep growing, and keep having fun.
Floral, it's time for you to walk the plank.
What? Why?
Because you haven't subscribed to WDW Pro yet. Nor bookmark thatparkplace.com on your web browser to get great articles from great contributors.
What?